Check it. Whether it's your first time or you need a retreat, this is your place for video games and fresh beats. LBnMie, LBnMie, last BeNeVoLeNcE and Kimmie-Immie.
Hi everyone, this is LBnMie. So here we go again. So for today, we wanted to show you our top 5 games of 2019. Yes, top 5. And it's gonna be a little bit different because we're gonna show his favorite and my favorite. So please check this out.
First, I'm going to start with my honorable mentions. Torchlight II and God Eater 3. Kimmie and I spent a good number of evenings playing Torchlight 2 back in 2019, and it was fun for the most part, but it just felt like something was missing. Don't get me wrong, the game is really good, and I recommend it to anybody looking for a good co-op action RPG with character creation and lots of loot grinding, but the way they handled the dialogue really took the immersion out of the game for me. Plus, I wasn't a huge fan of the soundtrack or art style. It's not an ugly game by no means, and the graphics are clean and stuff, but just not my style, I guess. Honestly, I think I'm probably going too hard on this game, and I'm sure a lot would agree that I am. It's good, and I'll definitely return to play more of it in the future, so that's why I had to mention it here. God Eater 3 was the third God Eater game that I've played, and while it holds true to the usual fast-paced Monster Hunter style gameplay, I still felt like the story and the character customization options left a bit to be desired. Overall, the story as a whole wasn't too bad, but the pacing was just horrendous. And with a game that encourages deep character customization, it's important to note that I only found like 2 outfits that I liked for my character, compared to the assortment of interesting options I would find in previous games of the series. Granted, I always play male characters, so maybe that's the problem. I still recommend this title as a fast-paced, anime-inspired alternative to Monster Hunter, especially since it's the only one of its kind on the Switch. So for my number 5 pick, it's the Switch version of For the King. Kimmie and I played the early access PC version of this game a few years ago while we were still in the Philippines. For the King is a randomly generated digital board game RPG where players take turns to find encounters, battle monsters, explore dungeons, and grind for loot. The character customization is very simple, but enough to push the roles of each player, and finding interesting gear can be super satisfying. It's a good time for a group of 3 friends, and maybe in the future Kimmie and I will give it a proper review. My number 4 pick is Outward, which came out for the PS4, Xbox One, and PC in 2019. Kimmie and I spent countless amounts of time playing this hidden gem on the PS4 together. It was flawed, the characters looked pretty ugly, and the setting was kinda strange, but the gameplay was super fun and highly captivating. Although I've never played an open-world action RPG quite like this one, it somehow carried a certain charm that I would only compare to the classics of the past. You know, the games that we've grown up with. And it had 2-player split-screen co-op, which is pretty rare for open-world games. My number 3 pick is Astral Chain for the Nintendo Switch. Now, I feel like there's a lot to say about this one, but at the same time, I don't really know where to start. It's hard to not just show off some gameplay point and say, you see that? That's why this game is dope. Because it seems to hit many highs all at once. It probably carries the hottest soundtrack of 2019, for real. The combination of its art style and graphics are good enough to even feel like it fits in with the standard of current gen games, and the story feels like it's cut straight out of the plot of a lost sci-fi anime from the 1990s. It's not open world, and it's a little short for my tastes, but the super fast-paced, easy to pick up but hard to master gameplay, along with everything else, makes this a perfect pick for my number 3. My number 2 is Fire Emblem Three Houses for the Nintendo Switch. It just baffles me how this game did not get more attention than it deserved. I literally remember thinking that this game was going to be crap, and then at the last minute decided to grab it when it came out. This is the best strategy RPG that I have ever played. Now, you can fight me on that front, but there's nothing quite like this one. The way they mix its strategy turn-based battles and character class growth with an epically told story is just hard to put into words. It features multiple long story paths and a time-based progression system that makes me wish I could hang the in-game calendar on my wall. If it weren't for the fact that the next game got a release on the Switch, this would be my game of the year for 2019. So, my number 1 pick for 2019 is the Switch version of Divinity Original Sin 2. If there is any top recommendation list from LBnMie that includes this game on it, don't be surprised to see it at the top, or near the top. Since Kimmie and I have been married, we've spent more time playing this game together and with others than any other game, period. It has the best turn-based battle system that I have ever seen or played, slow and methodical RPG progression, countless character customization options and class building options. There's almost too many opportunities in this game to make decisions that alter entire playthroughs, and it's done in such an influential way that you can play the game multiple times and still feel like it's your first. Make no mistake, this game is tough, huge, long, and perfect for 2 or more friends to enjoy for a tabletop-like open-world RPG experience on the Switch.
First, we start the special games that I can't rank. I just want to mention this because they were not on the list, but I like them. My honorable mentions. Link's Awakening. This is everything that I like in a game. It is cute and challenging because of how it is set up. It has a little bit of platforming, nice art, a fast pace, tough but cute monsters, and more. Next up is the For the King. This is awesome. I like to call it the paper game because of the way it looks. It has different classes that you can play with. It is so much fun to play. You need to grind to earn money and level up. Sometimes, a surprise enemy will pop up when you try to move. There are also special skills that you can get from statues that you find. I like how it really looks like a paper and how it is so colorful. I love it. Now let's go to my top 5 games. Number 5 is Torchlight. This is a co-op game that I like because it's really fun to play. Mostly sometimes, it makes you feel like you just want to use all the weapons you get because of how many different kinds of drop it gets. Number 4, Outward. I like how this open world game is made. It has different weather at times. There is day and night time in it. It is so cool, but it's challenging and it feels so realistic, and it makes you feel like you're exploring and traveling to different places while carrying items in your backpack. It's so much fun to play with someone. We played it on PS4 with split screen co-op. Next is Atelier Lulua. It is a fun and cute girly game. You play as Lulua as she travels and does different quests, meet new friends, and levels up her skills to craft and more. My number 2 is Divinity Original Sin 2. This is amazing. We spent so much time playing this together because of how well it's made. The way you respond to the story and the characters can change the way the game plays. This role-playing game really is for hardcore gamers though. I say that because it's like training my brain when I'm thinking of how to beat the enemies, and even when I'm trying to make my way out of dungeons. You'll meet people that part of the story or you can play as them to really know what's going on in their story. The character Losa really took my interest in this game. Once I even made her perform on the platform because she sings so good. There's so much things to do here and it's so much fun. My number 1 is My Time at Portia. This game is so cute where you can farm, make friends, build a house, and even have a boyfriend or boyfriends as long as others don't catch you. There is also mining and more. On this game, you can have a family, even have your own baby. Yes, your own baby. I think I spend more time playing this one because I love farming and building stuff. There's so much more we played, and most of these games are what I recommended if you like co-op games, RPGs, cute stuff, or challenging brain drains.
And in our opinion, 2019 had great titles. Torchlight II and God Eater 3 were rivals. Both had great combat with less style, but the co-op was fun. With this, there's no denial. We always have a great time with For the King, and both of us like the cute look of Link's Awakening. Outward was strange, but it did its thing. An open world co-op action RPG and punishing. Kimmie's number 3 was her first Atelier game. For me, number 3 was easily Astral Chain. And my number 2 was the greatest Fire Emblem, 3 houses. There's no better that you could send them. And there's so much that we can say about Divinity Original Sin 2. It takes a top spot for me. And mostly Kimmie would agree to speak, but My Time at Portia was the game that took most of her week. True. And 2019 was like a dream. It started and it ended so quickly now it seems. For the honorable mentions that we can bring, God Eater 3 and Link's Awakening. Then there's For the King, Torchlight II, Outward, Astral Chain, Atelier Lulua, Fire Emblem 3 houses, of course Divinity. Number 1 is Portia, but only for my Kimmie, see? And 2019 was like a dream. It started and it ended so quickly now it seems. For the honorable mentions that we can bring, God Eater 3 and Link's Awakening. Then there's For the King, Torchlight II, Outward, Astral Chain, Atelier Lulua, Fire Emblem 3 houses, of course Divinity. Number 1 is Portia, but only for my Kimmie, see? But only for our Kimmie, see? LBnMie. If you like the beats and the rhymes that I speak or our vibes, like, hit the bell, tell a friend, and subscribe. We don't do ads for video monetization, so check our Patreon to support what we're making.
Shout out to our Patreon supporters, Phil Bionicus and DeMarket Davis.